Welcome to the IAA's 2015 General Audit Management Conference Speaker Preview. I'm Shannon Steffee, Senior Editor for Internal Auditor magazine. Today I'm talking to Bethmara Kessler, CAE of Campbell Soup Company and one of many industry experts presenting at the 2015 GAM Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada, March 9th through 11th, 2015 at the ARIA Resort and Casino. Bethmara is a passionate audit leader who frequently speaks on topics related to fraud prevention and detection, investigations, auditing, compliance, and risks. She has held senior leadership roles overseeing audit, compliance, risk management, corporate investigations, business process improvement, and IT. Bethmara is also on the ACFE Faculty and Advisory Council and a published author. Her GAM presentation, called Positioning Internal Audit for the Future, will take place on Monday, March 9th, 2015 from 2:15 to 3:15 p.m. Hi, Bethmara. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Shannon. I really appreciate it.
Now, in your opinion, are audit functions devolving instead of evolving? And if so, why is that?
It's an interesting question. I think some audit functions have been better at evolving instead of devolving. And the reality is that businesses are moving faster than ever to really stay relevant and keep pace with their competition. And the way in which businesses have operated has, in a lot of cases, meaningfully evolved and changed. And, you know, we live in a world that's moving at lightning speed, and there's a lot of external factors beyond our control that have real impacts on the day-to-day of our businesses. You know, the global risks that affect us are not stagnant. They constantly change. The pace of technology evolution, the global risks that we face, all of it, you know, in terms of the changes and the impacts that it has in our day-to-day, you know, they're very, very real, and the pace doesn't show any sign of slowing down, and it's really pretty mind-numbing. So the speed in which our own businesses are forced to evolve and stay relevant and competitive in the marketplace, you know, really challenges us as functions to, you know, how do we keep up with those kinds of things? And, you know, audit functions that are not forward-thinking, agile, or innovative really risk not keeping pace with their businesses and really run the risk of devolving. So those that are very good at, you know, kind of being forward-thinking, continually challenging themselves to think differently, I think are the ones that are evolving and will be the most successful ones as we move audit into the future.
And how can internal audit stay ahead of the curve of the businesses it serves?
We need to continually evolve our focus and significantly improve our capabilities and our performance. You know, we really run the risk of losing relevance as a profession and give other risk functions the white space to operate in places where we should be operating, and their contributions sometimes can end up being seen as more important and more valuable than ours, and you know, and people will you know, will kind of fade away and not necessarily rely on our contributions. So the things we can do are, you know, we really need to be in constant dialogue with all of our stakeholders to ensure we're focusing on what's most important, what's going to make the most impact to our organization. And that's challenging because it's not just one group of stakeholders, there's many groups of stakeholders, and they don't all have the same, you know, kind of wants, wishes, and perception of what's really important. So it's really important for us to recognize that we have a broad constituency of stakeholders and that we need to be in constant dialogue with them to ensure that we're really keeping pace and focusing on the stuff that's going to make the impact. In my session, we're going to talk about how to create a strategic roadmap for change that'll help folks rethink, kind of realign and clearly articulate kind of their value proposition and what actions are necessary and that they're committed to taking to ensure that the perceptions of the value internal audit really remains high in their organization.
And what are some of the biggest challenges you see for internal audit in the future?
I mean, I think the biggest challenge is that we can't make a few incremental tweaks to what we do and how we do it, or really slowly chip away at opportunities to make what we do better. I think there's a real call for us from our stakeholders to radically overhaul ourselves and our work in a fairly significant and meaningful way, and to do that pretty quickly. You know, and that's not something that methodically measured internal auditors have historically been comfortable with. It's really outside of our comfort zone. We're not, you know, kind of by nature, the, you know, kind of radical change agents that I think our organizations need us to be. So we need to really reinvent ourselves and think a little differently in terms of how we do things. You know, it's also not something we've historically done as a profession. I think we've certainly evolved as a profession over the years, but I don't think we've made the scale of changes that stakeholders are really calling for. And there's lots of work that's done out there by the Big Four, and also by the state of the profession that the Institute of Internal Auditors does in terms of really looking at how audit is performing. And I think all of the feedback and the literature is really pointing towards this direction of kind of upping our game and really making radical change. So so I think some of the capabilities and skill needs that our stakeholders want from us are ones that aren't necessarily ones that we've traditionally had in our toolkit, and we're going to need to think about how do we change our toolkit and our capabilities to do the kinds of things and deliver the kinds of results that businesses are looking for.
And what do you feel will be the most important takeaway from your presentation?
So I think the most important takeaway is there is no silver bullet for this. Staying relevant and making meaningful contributions doesn't automatically happen. Just because we do great work doesn't mean our work is going to be perceived as great work. So we have to work constantly at really upping our game and our works and our processes, our talents and our teams and our skills and capabilities to really ensure that we're staying relevant. If we stay stagnant, we run the risk of being irrelevant. And I think that's really the biggest takeaway.
Thank you, Bethmara. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today about your GAM presentation. We'll see you in Vegas.
Thank you, Shannon. I look forward to it.